Hello and well met. Welcome to the pregame hangout. I am here with Alexander Pitchford, aka
Hi.
Shay Dark Song. Woo!
Woo!
And we are doing a duet game tonight of just Allie and myself, and it is going to be awesome.
Oh yeah.
So, Allie is recently returned from merry old England where there was a wedding, not Allie's wedding, but a wedding that Allie was in. So, how did that
Yes.
go? Tell us about your trip.
It was a lot of fun. We I went out about I think I left on Tuesday, got there Wednesday night, and the wedding itself was in a castle in Dorset, and
Oh my God.
it was gorgeous. I've been putting pictures up all over my socials, so
Amazing.
it's been great. The bride's dress was this gorgeous kind of like blue number, had a very kind of fantasy-esque feel to it. Bits of like scale mail and stuff on it. It was
Nice.
amazing.
Nice.
Um and I not only did I go to the wedding, but I was a bridesmaid, and that was awesome. Um at night the whole castle was lit up with colored lights. It was mm,
This is awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I uh I was in England about 20 years ago or so, and I toured around a bunch of castles and stuff. And I'm not sure if I made it at Dorset. But like if you ever go to England, anyone watching, you owe it to yourself to go visit a few of those castles because they are just remarkable to go
Oh
hang out
yeah.
in.
Oh yeah. The interior was fantastic. I may actually throw up a few pictures of the interior in the Discord at some point because
Definitely do it.
it was gorgeous. Uh, but yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. I got back yesterday, still kind of recovering from the jet lag, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, apparently, you went through this hemisphere
Hmm.
because Ali is in Australia, for everyone who doesn't know. It is
Yeah,
a much more reasonable time of day where you are. Is that true?
yeah, it's 11 a.m. right now.
Okay, that's much more reasonable. And so that was like you mentioned something about it being like a 30-hour trek in the
Yeah.
plane. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about 14 hours from Australia to LA, that's the big kind of bear of a trip.
Mhm.
The From there, I went from LA to New York, which is about 6 hours, and then like another about 6 or 7 hours from New York to London.
Nice. Cross two oceans.
Hmm. No, but uh, the the person that was getting married is one of my best friends, so there's no way I was missing that.
Absolutely. Very, very cool. Well, I'm glad you had an excellent time.
I am too.
Apparently, there was blood pudding involved.
There was I had for breakfast one of the days I had black pudding.
Oh, shit.
I had a full English, so it had black pudding and some others and all the other stuff that comes with the full English. And
Nice.
the one of the canapes at the wedding was a kind of like it was like this little bite with like this crispy black pudding and brie, and that was good.
Sweet.
All the food was good. Hmm.
Yeah. That's a thing that over the last 20 years or so, you see, England used to have a reputation for their food being terrible, and it was not entirely undeserved. But these days, it has really taken a rise upward, and I'm
Hmm.
glad that you got to experience that.
Oh yeah, I mean, heck, the at the dinner for the wedding, they had venison that literally that day, or maybe not specifically that day, but it had been a deer that was killed on the castle grounds. It was
Wow.
one of the actual deer from the grounds.
Eat local. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, you can't get much more local than that. I never had venison before, actually. It was pretty tasty.
Kind of hmm. Thinking back to last time I had that. I've only had venison a couple of times in my life, and it tasted distinctive, but it was still very good. I think I remember rabbit more than venison. I am a meat eater, obviously. I've gone through vegetarian and vegan periods, and none of them worked out for me. So I'm back on the wagon,
Oh.
the meat wagon. Anyway, wow, that came out wrong.
I just
Um,
realized I've been drinking regular Mountain Dew and not my Mountain Dew sugar free this entire time. Ooh.
well, this will be an exciting game then.
Yeah. I might
All
cool
right.
it on that. Yeah, that'll be fun.
So, this game, there's no reason to be coy about it. This game is obviously going to feature Shay Darksong, and she has certain interests in the campaign, although she does get around. Like she has, been and seen and done a lot of things throughout the course of the game. Um, what about her story really jumps out to you? What is this? What is if you had your druthers as you might in 23 minutes, what would you explore with your character?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I know a lot of times she gets played for like little bits of comic relief here and there when she's there as an NPC, but like
Yes,
she's
I
a much
apologize for that, but she is very funny. It's hard to
she
resist.
is like she is a funny character. Just as most of my characters, I try to inject a little bit of humor into how and how they do things and what they do. But I think the thing that jumps out at me with her is I like how I mean she's a very for a rogue, she's actually a very honest person. She's very earnest, very you know, uh loyal and very kind. Um and I just like playing the various facets of her because for someone who is ostensibly a half vampire, she is
Right?
she is, a very tries to be a very good person. Um, but and I enjoy playing and kind of fleshing out those aspects of her. And there's no it's no secret that one of my favorite parts of her entire of her story is the relationship she has with Illyra, which has been kind of developed from before even the streamed game from our old play by post,
Right.
and it's just been one of the things that I keep coming back to as one of my favorite arcs for the character.
Yes, I remember that's how you and I met initially. Was I happened to glimpse you talking about Illyra, who was, I think at the time, known as Fox at Twilight, because that was the name she went by in my previous early work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, she's pretty cool. And we just kind of talked about her for a while. And I think I wrote like a little story for you. And yeah,
Yeah,
it was just really nice. Like your enthusiasm for the story and the character. And you really seemed to understand what I was going for with the character, which was really special to me. So hence our
yeah,
friendship.
yeah, and I've been grateful for that. You've been a fantastic friend, for the years that we've known each other.
I just
Uh,
realized that story probably makes me sound like a raging narcissist, and I want to push back on that slightly. I'm only a minor narcissist. Okay, I'm not enraged. I'm just kind of happy about it. So
yeah. I saw something that was like a narcissist wouldn't know them wouldn't know
true. Yes.
a narcissist wouldn't know themselves if they were staring if they were staring back at themselves from the surface of a lake. Something
Yeah.
like that. But no, yeah, and then I think we talked a bit, back and forth. I don't
Mhm.
think we really got to know each other very well until the play by post, honestly,
Right.
because I was going through a rough time. I think you mentioned you were having a bit of a rough time yourself, and you offered to run that game for me and some friends.
Yeah. It was basically like a sort of God, life sucks. Let's do this thing. Why not? Let's just run a game because I didn't really have a general like group going at the time, and I was just kind of like, nah, let's, and it worked out great. You know,
Oh yeah.
that was kind of the source of the Westgate Irregulars concept,
Mm-hmm.
and most of those characters do still exist within the context of this campaign as NPCs and or backstory, who, you know, they're
Mm-hmm.
mentioned and referred to. But they were like the not necessarily the original generation of Westgate Irregulars, but an earlier generation of Westgate Irregulars.
Yeah. In fact, I think I think we ended up settling on one of the events at the tail end of the campaign was part of why there's an entirely different group now that's doing their own thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because that campaign ended with the characters going missing for a couple of years when they were flung into the dark future.
I mean, it's not
So,
like things like that don't happen to the Westgate Irregulars, right? They frequently go
right.
missing and get involved in like terrible, dark, world ending or universe ending events. And then they
Hmm.
come back, and Westgate, well, Westgate is a living city. It keeps going on and keeps
Yeah.
doing things while people are gone. Um, I think we'll see a little bit of that going into book 4 as well. Um, I don't know if anyone saw it, and I know you were busy being over in England for the time, but I did a duet game with Rhiannon playing Artemisia last week, and she made
Hmm.
some choices which are going to have an impact on book 4. It's
Okay.
not necessarily the way everyone thinks, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I look forward to seeing how that rolls out.
One of the things is that over the course of the campaign from book 1, I have had the politics of Westgate kind of as a theme going on in the background. And
Hmm.
usually they just kind of get in the way of everybody. Like uh, politics are happening and they're blocking our progress. So we need to deal with it minorly. And eventually Stong just, you know, killed the whole merchant council using Mirabelle as a flamethrower. Oh, spoilers for anybody still watching. That was in toward the end of book 1, I believe. Anyway,
God, yeah, it's been a while.
and so the politics of Westgate are still going, although most of the merchant council is no longer there, obviously. So what we're dealing with now is according to the game with Artemisia last week, is a fledgling democracy. Like Westgate is trying to put together a democracy, and Artemisia was one of the candidates for their new Cromark, which is basically like an elected duke of the city, duke or duchess, right? Um, Westgate has no king. It hasn't had a king for centuries. They consider themselves to be a free city, basically kind of an oligarchy, but not in name. Like they do have a merchant council, but the merchant council mostly represents the interests of the merchants. And now that the merchant council is extinguished, they have been trying to find a new way to put together a government to keep the city running. And they settled on a democracy of sorts. Now they don't really like it's still an experiment to see how it goes. Um, Charity, when she was describing it to Artemisia last week, was like, we do this thing called voting. I don't know what that's all about. It's something like that, and then we choose who rules us. What? So so we're going to see some consequences come out of that. Artemisia obviously rejected her nomination to be the new Cromark, so maybe she should have taken that position. I don't know. So we'll see. That was my long madman political rant about my made up campaign here, but you know
Yeah.
that's one of the things I really like about the realms in specific or gaming in general is that you can just have it's a living setting. There's just a lot going on in the background, and you can put in however much you want. Brumpus
Oh
made a good
yeah.
point that they do have a king. He just rules from a court of vampires. Yeah, I haven't forgotten about him. Don't worry.
Oh no,
Maybe
he's yeah
maybe the irregulars have forgotten about him, but
on the list of people Shay would like to stab in the face.
I do want to warn everybody that for some reason my microphone keeps trying to adjust the volume down. You probably noticed this in previous episodes of the game where I would just kind of get quieter as the game progressed. And I have no idea why it's doing that. I might eventually figure out the setting that's causing that. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to periodically check and just put myself back up. So if I start getting quiet, just give it a second and I'll fix it.
Yeah.
So we still have a good deal of time.
We do.
You watched any fun movies or TV recently, perhaps during your 30-hour flight?
Oh, so many, so much. I mean, I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was
Nice.
wild.
Mhm.
You know, I caught up on a few things. I watched, I think, the entirety of a really kind of cute show called Ghosts, which was fun.
Mhm.
Um, what movies did I watch? So I watched several. Can't remember half of them. The Eternals. I finally watched. I got around to watching. That was a good one. I actually did some writing on the flight too.
Oh yeah.
One of the flights.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Working on that second chapter of the novella that I'm doing on my Patreon.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
You know that that does remind me of another question, but from the chat, Meyer Doug asks, are we talking the English or the American version of Ghosts?
The American version of Ghosts.
Okay.
I want to pick. I want to check out the UK version as well, but the American one was pretty cute, and I like Rose McIver as an actress, so I
Mhm.
was already kind of sold on the concept.
So the question I was inspired to ask, I hear a rumor that there might eventually be another game that shows up on our stream run by you.
Mm, there
Hmm.
might be.
Do you have any teasers to offer us? I know I'm kind of
Well,
putting you on the spot.
I could certainly think of one. Well, it's not out yet, but there are the game itself will be taking place in an original setting that Eric and I have been bandying ideas about
What?
back and
Me?
forth.
Yes.
Ah, and this setting actually is the same setting that the short story I wrote for the Never Too Old to Save the World anthology that it's coming out uh
Oh.
takes place in. The story's called The Sun Spear. It will potentially feature uh a character at least somewhat from that story long
Excellent.
well before the events of the short story though. I think it's about timeline wise, I'm thinking it's about 20 plus years before that, so
Mhm, mhm.
it's a good bit of distance. uh
So it's kind of a prequel campaign,
Kind
or
of.
the story is kind of a sequel story. Or more accurately, it's like an overarching IP that you are developing at multiple time points, which is pretty cool.
I mean, I'm excited.
Mhm.
But yes, we've got that potentially coming. uh um should I I'm not sure if I should mention something else that we're doing sooner than that, but
Go ahead.
there is potentially a one shot coming in the next several weeks that will feature uh the setting and characters.
Dun dun
Dun dun
dun.
dun.
Mhm, mhm.
Still working out on plans for that, but it is coming. So definitely that will be announced when it's time.
Amazing.
That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes, we are. We are. I think we've mostly recruited our crew for it. We're just
Yeah.
making sure our schedules align and everybody is in.
hmm
Um, a bunch of new faces that you will probably not have seen before on this channel. We're trying to broaden out and bring in more people, more voices, more talents, and I'm excited. I think
I am
it's
too.
going to be good. We're going to get some great stuff, and they seem like very creative people.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I've gotten the pleasure to play with all of them, honestly, in various places. If you have checked out games from Weave the Tale, you might recognize a couple of faces. And then one of the players I play with regularly, Tuesday nights for me, at, on a channel, Polished Cryptid, which
Nice.
is a pretty fun game. That one is weird. It's the campaign that I play in there is kind of a all the worlds of the multiverse have ended, and the bits and pieces that remain have been smooshed into a new universe.
Hmm.
So the characters all hail from different universes,
Hmm.
and the character I'm playing there is Kaylin Darksong,
Nice.
Shay's,
Nice.
Shay's parent. Uh,
Excellent.
so I'm having a lot of fun with that. The Blade Singer is having is it's fun. It's fun. Way off the wall. Some of the characters are just really interesting archetypes. We've got a very dour Gith swordsman, um, who's very literal and doesn't quite understand people.
Nice.
Um, and honestly, it's any wonder the characters have survived this far, but they seem to keep managing to do so.
Awesome. Awesome. So, since we're talking about multiple universes and kind of exotic alien sorts of characters, have you checked out the Spelljammer stuff? Are you
I haven't had a chance to look
incorporating
yet.
that? Yeah, it is still
Uh
very, very new.
yeah. Um I haven't really thought about incorporating it or working it into like the setting that we've been working on. But like it wouldn't be hard, honestly. That or like I've heard rumblings about Planescape coming, like that would work in really well, especially because like the main city it takes place in, Greymantle, is I've always envisioned as kind of a nexus of sorts.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a sigil analog, right? A little
Kind
bit,
of like yeah, like I wouldn't entirely go that far. It's
kind of
certainly
thematically related, maybe. Yeah, a nexus, like you were saying, a crossover point.
the walls between worlds are thin in this particular point, and that's part of what makes the city interesting. It's I know that there are powers within the city, uh criminal groups and whatnot, that wants to gain control of it for various reasons, and one of those reasons is the fact that it's this kind of nexus between worlds.
Hmm.
um a lot of warlocks running around in that place. It's
Yeah,
very warlock heavy. I think at one point in the early on in the creation, we were talking. It was basically "Oops, all warlocks." Like
yeah,
all the mess.
basically. That's what I was gonna say. Like, what if like warlocks were the main powers main power base in the city? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, just everyone's a warlock of some kind. And oh my
yeah,
god, aren't warlocks cool? And all of that is true. So
yeah. I think like I've moved away from bit from that in the development, just because it's like, well, if I made this, because I'm doing stories and stuff.
mhm.
But if I made this like a D&D setting, it's like having only warlocks is a bit rough. So there's definitely other types of magic. There's other methods, like I know if I were to put characters in the short story I wrote into class-based boxes, obviously The character Anwen would be a paladin. Uh, and her companion Lyra would be a cleric pretty easily. And
Um,
then of course the Silver Sparrow is a rogue,
right.
but she's a rogue warlock. So
Yep. Got to get that in somewhere.
yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
A friend of mine is starting up a short run planescape game for us to play. And I have moved or a short run spelljammer game for us to play, and I have moved away from my typical standard plan of playing my tiefling bounty hunter sort of character because I'm an old school planescape person, and that was the thing. To I came across the astral elves and the monk of the astral self, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. This is going to be great. So look forward to stories about that. Um, we have to play an ad, and we need a brief stretch our legs break before we start playing. So we're going to be back in just a couple minutes. Thank you again, Allie Pitchford, for joining us on this game. It is going to be awesome and give you some excellent little perspective behind the scenes with some of the stuff going on in Westgate and with our fan favorite Shay Dark song. So don't go away. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.